YouTube? It's your boy Trey Bucci back with another video for you guys. Before we get started, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button underneath, and make sure you follow us on all social media platforms. It will help us out tremendously. So we're back with another video. Today we have the top 10 Miami Heat players of all time. Top 10, all right? Very hard list. A lot of good players, I think with Miami Heat's problem, there's a lot of players that played on a few different teams. So there's a lot of great Heat players that only played for about 5 years. Obviously we have like the LeBron James, Hardaway, Jones, players like that, but I think we did a great job with the top 10. But before we get into the top 10, we actually have two honorable mention. All right, so like I said, there's a lot of players that obviously missed this top 10, but just to name a few, one, we have player right now, Jimmy Butler, who's playing right now. Obviously, only a couple years with the Heat, but just getting the Heat to the finals as an underdog, nobody saw it coming. He definitely belongs on that list. So that was our one honorable mention. Now getting into number 10, we have Udonis Haslem. Now, obviously, we know Haslem's stats aren't anything crazy in the sense of points, but he is the Miami Heat leading total rebounds, offensive and defensive, so therefore total. Like I said, his points weren't, he averaged 7.6, but 6.7 rebounds, long season, and just the fact that he's won 3 championships. Granted, LeBron helped with that, the big three, but he was also there with Shaq when they won that first one. So 10, we have Udonis Haslem. Coming in at number 9, we have Steve Smith. Now, this is another player that I talked about only having a few years. Steve Smith was drafted by the Heat, played about 4 years, and then got traded and he retired Miami Heat. And the reason why I had him on here is looking at his stats, every year he improved his first 4 years, and then his last year he ended up averaging 25 before he left. So Steve Smith, great career with the Hawks, Trailblazers, very underrated. That dude was a bucket, one of my favorite players. All right, moving on to number 8, another favorite player of mine, Eddie Jones. We all know he played with the Lakers, and then he played with the Heat, averaging 14.8 points, 4 boards, 2.9 assists, and 1.7 steals. Eddie Jones was a great defender. He made a couple all defensive second teams, 3 All-Stars that the 96, I want to say, 96. It's like 2000, Eddie Jones was that man, but obviously with Kobe, the draft from Kobe, I knew he was going to be out pretty soon. So we got Eddie Jones at 8. Moving on to number 7, we have Shaquille O'Neal. And this is, like I said, I think he had, 4 years in Miami, and then the last year was pretty bad with injury, so he only had a few years, but obviously them winning the championship, that has a lot of weight into going into this list. Obviously he's a 4-time champion, 15-time All-Star, 3-time MVP for the All-Stars, MVP, All NBA first team 8 times, second 2 times, third team 4 times. He actually got 2 all defensive second teams as well. I know a lot of people say Shaq didn't play defense. Some nights he he has some blocks. I mean, he averaged, 2.3 blocks. So that'll do it right there. All right, moving on to number 6, just outside the top 5. We are bringing it back. Ronnie Brewer. I think this is more of someone who had a nice long career with the Heat. Average 14.7, almost 10 boards, 1.3 blocks. So yeah, he just had a solid career. Obviously, the Heat weren't very good back then, but Ronnie is just one of those, players that's just been on that team for a while. Great player though. Moving on to our top 5. Another former Laker. A lot of Lakers on here, man. We have Glenn Rice. That boy could shoot. At one point, he was one of my favorite NBA players. I think more because of, NBA Jam. Used to play with Glenn Rice. Could shoot. Eddie Jones, too. One-time champ, 3-time All-Star. All-Star MVP. I think that was, 98? All-NBA second. And All-NBA third, 1 time each. Average 18.3 points, 4.4 rebounds, and just about 2 assists a game. Glenn Rice was a problem. There's like some stories, I think, about him not being comfortable being like a number 3 or something like that. So I think he could have got more rings if he was willing to take on that role, but I think he wasn't. Don't mind me on that, though. All right, let's go into the 4. I think these 4 players are pretty obvious. It's just where you will want to put them. And in my thing, I think there'd be controversy with the number 1, but we're going to move on to number 4. Is Tim Hardaway a top 10 point guard of all time? No, Tim Hardaway is definitely top 15, 20 point guards of all time. Average 17.7, 8.2 assists, 1.6 steals, so he did it on both ends. 5-time All-Star, first team once, second team 3 times, third team once. Great career, we all know, crossover. I think most people would know him for the Warriors. I think they had like better teams. Miami did have a good team though that they put around when they had him and Alonzo, but definitely the Warriors was Tim Hardaway was a beast, monster. I think he had like ankle problems or something like that where they ended up moving him. But moving on to number 3, we have Alonzo Mourning, his partner in crime, 1-time champion, 7-time All-Star, Defensive Player of the Year twice, All-NBA first and second, defensive team obviously twice, averaging 17.1, 8.5 boards, and 2.8 blocks. Solid career, man. I guess with him, it's just more championships that he's not considered. He's always that outside. Once you start looking at bigs that really haven't won it, then you start getting, like some people will probably put David Robinson, Alonzo Mourning, which David Robinson was washed Mourning, to be honest with you, but both good defenders. Robinson's more gifted on the offensive end, but yeah, I think Lonzo with not having those championships, that's what kind of killed it. But moving on to number 2, now this is where it's gonna get controversial, and I know why, because everyone's saying this is Wade's team, but I had Dwayne Wade at number 2. Career average 22, 4.7, 5.4. Obviously 3-time champion. Did 1 with Shaq, 2 with LeBron and Bosh, 1-time MVP. 13-time All-Star, All-NBA first 3 times, second 3 times, third 3 times, All-Defensive second team 3 times. So get it done on the defensive end, man. Dwayne Wade probably would go down top 3, top 5 shooting guards. Definitely top 3 now, but when you have people like James Harden coming up, it's going to change probably. with the Nets. He probably get some rings and move up. But yeah, so obviously number one, we have the one and only coming back. He was number one in top NBA players right now, top 20, Miami Heat. Obviously, when we do the Cavs, he's going to be number one. Lakers is just a different story, man. Obviously, I don't think he would crack top 5, honestly. Unless he gets like 4 rings with Lakers, but I'm not sure. But yeah, man, we got LeBron number 1, Wade 2, Alonzo Mourning 3, Tim Hardaway 4, Glenn Rice 5, Ronnie Brewer 6, Shaq 7, Eddie Jones 8, Steve Smith 9, Udonis Haslam 10, Jimmy Butler, Chris Bosh, honorable mention. Alright, make sure you like and subscribe. Thanks for watching the video, and we will be back with more content. Go and get it.